Whoa! That is so bright! Hey, who's that guy out there with the camera? Oh, I'm on film! Hey, this is Maurice and welcome to Mascots and Puppet Specialists. And boy, have we got a show for you!
Hey, my name is Frankie Malakai and I am a puppeteer. I've been doing this not very long, it's about maybe 30 years. Is my makeup okay? Okay, here we go. And this is a very, very cheeky puppet, alright? You ready? It goes like this. A typical day is when I wake up. Of course, you must have your coffee and then plan ahead what you need to do. Sometimes I will do repair work. Sometimes I will have an idea and then I'll put my ideas on paper, and then from there, if I have a pocket of time, I will start to craft those ideas and bring it from the page to the stage. How did I get into this puppet industry? We have to blame television for that, because growing up, I would sit in front of the TV, having my dinner and watch Jim Henson with the Muppet Show.
Hello, Kermit.
Oh, dear. Yeah, it's nice to be here. If I had a box just for wishes.
It got me thinking like, hey, this is fun. This is something that I might want to do when I grow up. Okay, so basically I got an idea to make one old lady puppet. She would go around to collect old newspaper, carton boxes and pick up junk to sell. Wow, how many puppets have I created so far? Let's see, I think there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a lot of puppets I've created. About maybe more than 300 over. Oh, the very first puppet that I created. That time there's no tutorial, there's no Google, and I wanted to make like what I saw on television. So we made our first puppet character, you know, and his name is Walter. He's supposed to be like a waiter kind of character. It didn't really look that great, but it's a start. What it takes to create a puppet, a very interesting question, because there are so many different kinds of puppets out there. You have shadow puppets, you have rod puppets, you have string puppets, and then a whole hybrid of different kinds of puppets. In this moment of time, I'm geared towards string puppets because they are so challenging, right? And they're so, interesting to watch, because the puppet and the puppeteer looks very detached from each other. It's controlled by strings. I need to have a concept, an idea of what I want the puppet to do. And from there, then I start to adjust, the strings or design the controller to enable him to, achieve his calling. 1 and a 2 and a hop. All right, great job, Bruno. He's even gonna do a big split just for you. Ta-da! Where do I get my inspirations from? Inspirations are everywhere, all right? Sometimes you get your inspiration from a piece of music that you listen to. Sometimes when you read books or you see something. Or sometimes when I sit at a hawker center and then as I would watch the people around me say, hey, this one looks like a puppet. The face, the character, it fits a puppet perfectly. Sometimes you get your inspiration through dreams. These are the ideas that usually when you put it from the page to the stage, these are the ones that will touch people's hearts. Okay, so this is where the magic happens. You can see all the masters at work. The client wanted a puppet of the Lorax. She would again, come up with the patterns and then to find the correct materials. And she does everything, as you can see, is all sewn by hand. And with that, some of the mechanism, which you will see there are some cables coming out. So these are the ones that will control the eyes and the mouth. Oh, you must hear this story. I'm an adopted child, right? And during that time in the 60s, it's quite common. So I don't know who my parents really are. And then one day, I suddenly, I'm reunited with my real bio family. So I invited them for the first time here. And that time I was about like maybe 40-ish years old. My real brother would come and then he looks at the puppet that I made and say, "Hey, that look like your father." I guess it's a subconscious thing because I never intend to make a likeness of my father because I don't even know who he is at that time, you know. So hey, yeah, there are many times when I make puppet and people will come and, "Hey, this looks like my friend," or "This looks like a certain character." The most memorable puppet that I've created, there's so many. Let me give you one example. This puppet I had in mind for quite a while. It took me about 2 years to develop and finally bring him on stage. He would sit by the edge of the stage and then he would look at the clouds. The puppet would look up and then he would like, "Oh, I also want to fly," you know, and he's got a balloon in his hand. So he will blow up a balloon and then he starts to float up. His dreams came true. But however, the balloon bursts. Just like a lot of us have got dreams, a lot of us has got, you know, ideas, but sometimes our bubble may burst, right? And then he starts to cry. That is when it gets to the audience, because sometimes you will watch the audience, right? And then it will start to go, you know, wipe the tears of their eyes. And when I watch the audience doing that, right, you know that the music, the movements, everything is right on the spot, where it hit the nail on the head. And then you know that, you've done something right. When challenges hits you or when difficulties hits you, you're like, am I doing the right thing? Is that what I want to do for the rest of my life? I think passion is a driving force, because when you're passionate about something, even though challenges may come, you want to conquer those challenges. You want to push the envelope, right? And that's what we did. And I thank God for my team because they are always so supportive and they are always, you know, there to push this thing through. Well, is puppetry a dying trade? Well, definitely not. Because since Stone Age Man until now, that's how many thousands of years, all right, puppetry will always emerge in one form or another, whether it's, you know, something that is practical, or whether it's done over CGI, or whether it's a robot. It is still puppetry. But then when we get back to the traditional way of doing puppetry, it's more organic, and film makers know that when you do something organic, it will look much better on film. For example, Jurassic Park, Star Wars, all right, they're going back to practical effects. Puppetry will never die out. It will evolve, all right, and it will get better. Well, I think the puppetry scene in Singapore is, there are a lot of shows you see nowadays where they incorporate puppetry. And I think puppetry has got a future here, because if you go to even Gardens by the Bay, you'll see puppets out there. If you go to theme parks, you'll see puppets out there. We even use puppets to save extinct animals, certain species or birds, all right? Each year they can only produce one egg. What happened was when the egg is out, you know, they would incubate it, and then from there, they will make a surrogate puppet parent to feed the baby bird. And then when they release it into the wild, the chances of survival is more. And we have also used puppetry in a form where sensors will be built into a puppet and it will be given to a special need kid or an elderly person. Right? All the sensors will pick up all these movements. It will go to the computer and compute the well-being of the person. Well, I hope that whatever we leave behind as a legacy, that people will see, they'll be inspired, you know, and that they will know that this is a very powerful tool to bring out and to bring a message across. Because, you know, people just gravitate towards puppetry. People will just be drawn, so much drawn into an inanimate thing that suddenly you breathe life to it, and when it comes alive, no matter how technology has advanced, people will still be amazed. This is Frankie Malakai, and this is why I do what I do.